Welcome there, mate. It's old boy I read Reddit back at it again with some more Entitled Parents tomfoolery. Today's stories are extra spicy with a side of shrimp on the barbie. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, fellas and Sheilas. I hope you all love it. This happened yesterday, and dang. Me and my friends are in the metro when we saw this entitled mother harassing this blind guy who was sitting in the disabled seat. She wanted this seat for her own kid. At the end, this happened.
Get up and move. Your legs work so you don't need a seat. Disabled people shouldn't even be in public. They're just a nuisance to everyone.
And the blind guy agreed.
Then you should probably have remained at home because your brain is clearly disabled.
She didn't have a comeback for that roast, so she just left him alone after that. She was very clearly embarrassed. Let me preface this by saying, this happened a very long time ago, and while I could come to a reasonable approximation of the dialogue that surrounded this, I won't bother. I don't recall everything that was said, just some of the circumstances. Okay, first off, I am a model railroader. Specifically, I model in O scale. For reference, that means the average locomotive is about 3 or 4 inches tall, and up to a foot long, depending on the type that is. One summer, I was taking part in a model railroad fair at our local mall, where I was displaying some of my models. Being that I'm from the United States, the fact that I modeled the British Isles, GWR for your Brit readers, means that my display really stood out. Now, as there's always kids at these types of shows, I had taken to putting a plexiglass side around my layout to prevent children from reaching in and touching things, or damaging various parts of the structures and models that went with the railroad. While I was watching one locomotive I had just received leave the staging area, it's a small 3-rack system that lets me funnel trains into the layout, then out as needed. I remembered this one lady making comments about the cute little trains. Getting that train running at a nice but slow pace, I approached her and smiled, asking if there's any questions she had. The lady never missed a beat, pointing to the train I had just started, and told me that her son liked trains, and I should sell one for him. Now, truth be known, this wasn't an uncommon thing to have happen. People, usually other modelers, may ask if some units are up for sale. Sometimes they are, but typically not. I explained to her that the locomotive was not for sale, and even that if it was, she wouldn't have liked the price anyway, noting that the engine she was pointing at had cost me close to $1,000. The lady was having none of it, and offered me $10 for it, since it was obviously a toy. I ignored her and went back to getting the next train set up on the staging track, waiting for that one to return. As I do this, I hear an odd sound and look up in time just to see the lady picking up the locomotive off the track and moving it to hand it to her kid. I called out for her to stop, which may have been a mistake, as she promptly dropped it on the ground. The engine, though somewhat robust and heavy, was made of rather soft brass. When it hit the ground, there was a sickening crunch. I knew from the sound that that engine was done for, broken beyond repair. The lady just looked at it and shrugged, and kicked it back under the table before starting to walk off. Thankfully, security quickly caught up with her and detained her while police were called. All the while she kept saying,
"It's just a toy. Men don't play with toys,"
while ignoring the fact that she was surrounded by dozens of train layouts, with just as many grown men showing off their work. Police arrested her on destruction of private property charges, while the mall itself barred her from ever entering foot on their property again. Later, with her information on hand from the police report, I filed a case against her for the replacement of the locomotive. You won't believe it, but she had the gall to try to convince the judge that it was just a toy, and the receipts I had for the purchase of the locomotive weren't real, saying that she'd seen the exact same locomotive at a Walmart herself. Well, the case ended up in my favor, with her having to pay me replacement costs, as well as some punitive damages. The judge ended the case with the simple warning that just because you want something does not give you the right to simply take it. From the criminal side of things, I think the lady ended up with 40 or so hours of community service and a substantial fine as well. He is hoping that she learned her lesson. Last year I gave haircuts, just like my dad before his accident, and a fun little fact. I am a boy, and pink is my favorite color, so fudge that parent. Stories below. Today at the barbershop, it wasn't very busy. We had only given cuts to 4 people. The other barber went home after nobody came in for an hour, which was irresponsible, but I can't blame him. Then the fifth person walks in. It's a woman with her son. The son looked about 14 or 15 years old, and the mother looked like the 40 range. They walk in, and I give the boy a haircut. At the end of the cut, the boy asked for a little bit of pink dye in the front of his hair. The mum wasn't watching and she was on the phone. So I did what he had asked. Then we were finished, and I told the woman the total, and she looks at her son and says,
"What the heck is that? Why is my son's hair pink? Ma, what the fudge is your problem? You aren't getting paid for ruining my son's hair."
"I'm sorry, ma'am, but
Mum, I asked for it."
The entitled mum looks at the boy with evil eyes. I knew something was going to happen, but I have to say I really appreciate that boy for sticking up for me, because I expected he'd say nothing, and normally I don't know what to say in this situation, so Brownie points to him.
"Why? Pink is for girls, not boys."
The entitled mum is shouting now. Basically, it's what I expected. I mean, what else could she do? Sue him for having pink in his hair, lol?
You know what? I'm sick of your crap, Mum. You literally do not respect anything I do. If I hang out with the disabled at school, you'll force me to hang around with the people who pick on them. And then when my girlfriend bought me a pink shirt with a pink heart on it, you throw it in the garbage. And you are so fudging lazy. You make me and Dad do everything around the house. Fudge you, Mum.
The boy stormed out of the shop and the mother left to chase him. I didn't earn my money, but I wasn't really ticked. I was shocked and confused, but the boy returned a few minutes later, and he came back and yeeted $20 into the shop. He didn't even step inside, he opened the door and threw it in. I think his crazy mum was chasing him. I was still in shock and felt bad for the kid. I never saw them again, and I don't work at the barbershop anymore. I had this rather amazing run-in with a choosing beggar last week, and boy was it entertaining and infuriating. I'm renting a one-story house with a private swimming pool with my wife. The house is part of a small neighborhood of 6 houses in total, 2 of which are slightly bigger than the others and have a private pool each. Those 2 are a fair bit more expensive, for obvious reasons. Last week, someone knocks on the door and I go to open it. Outside is a smiling woman with 2 kids.
"Hello, I'm Fudgeface from next door. We thought we'd use the pool."
I'm confused as heck and a bit stunned at this, so I say, "Oh, you did ya?" I also now notice that they're carrying towels and have swimming suits on. I don't really like lending it out, I'm afraid, so I think I'll have to say no.
"Oh, but the rent gives me access to the pool when I want,"
said in a very smug way, as if she's calling me an idiot. You're not paying rent for the house, and I know the owner doesn't include use of the pool in the contract. I know this because he's a close friend of my wife, and I happen to be the one who wrote the contract, as well as having translated the guy's ads for Facebook and such.
"Well, it is in the lease, so you don't really have much of a choice, do you?"
At this point, I just ask my wife to call up the owner, and he confirms that he hasn't said anything about her being allowed to use the pool, and that the contract doesn't mention it either. I tell her this, but since she has kids, I tell her that I'll allow her to come over to use the pool perhaps once a month, as long as she gives me 1 week's notice or so. Oh, this is not good enough for Fudgeface, who demands immediate access to the pool as well as for future use whenever she feels like it. This, of course, results in me withdrawing my kind offer and her stomping away, screaming about getting me kicked out. Later, the owner shows up, having heard her screaming through the phone, and warns her sternly that she will be kicked out if she makes any more trouble. I don't think she'll be staying for long. So, summer of 2017, I worked as a lifeguard at the local water park. At the time, I was 17 and thought it would be fun to work there. There were lots of crappy things that have happened and lots of stupid people, but this one has stuck with me the most. We had several water slides and a hot tub, which was particularly popular due to the weather, averaging in the 70 degrees. We had several safety rules and signs posted around the hot tub stating things like no more than 10 minutes at a time, no more than 30 people in the tub, no children aged under 6 in the tub, etc. The last one was often the cause of parents getting upset because their child was freezing and just wanted to warm up. We would allow children under 6 to sit on the edge and put their feet in the hot tub, but due to county health department rules, we weren't allowed to let them be in the tub completely. Enter entitled parent. It was early on a Friday morning, just after open, so about 10 o'clock. And there were maybe 6 families in the park. No wait times and no small children in the kiddie pool. This lady walks up to the hot tub and starts getting in, babe in arms. I guess by the sight this child was 2-ish. I reminded the lady of the rule, but that she could place her child on the edge with her feet in the water if she liked. Shortly after, I looked back over at the lady, and not only was her child not on the side of the tub, her child was completely submerged in water, which was another rule. You couldn't put your head under. So I rushed over to her and her child to check on the child, and she quickly scooped her child out of the water and placed her on the side of the pool. All well within sight. I said to her, "Ma'am, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to leave the hot tub if I see you place your child in the water again." She snapped at me, "Don't call me ma'am. I'm probably the same age as you. Anyways, what's it to you? It's my child, and if I said it's okay, then it's okay." I responded, "I'm sorry, but since I don't know your name, that's what I thought would be appropriate to call you. As much as I would like to let you decide what temperature water is okay for your child, it's part of my job to enforce the rules. And that particular one isn't even created by my employer, but rather by the county health department." She scoffed, then said, "Sure it is." She rolled her eyes and walked towards the other side of the hot tub. Shortly after, she got out of the tub, walked up to one of my co-workers, and asked something, then went into the office to speak with my boss. A few minutes later, my boss came up to me and said, "A lady just complained to me that you were rude to her. Want to tell me what's been happening?" So I explained that I noticed that she wasn't following our rules, and had brought her toddler into the hot tub regardless of my warnings. My boss was totally understanding and said, "Yeah, that's what I thought. She tried to tell me that you had called her kid a little crap and that you called her fat." She said she wanted you fired and free tickets to the park. I told her I'd reprimand you and we'd look into what happened. "I just came over here to make it look like I was giving you a talking to." A little background to this story. First, I have a fairly decent car for it being so old. 16-year-old Dodge Neon SE. And I have zero interest in getting anything different since it is reliable. Still great gas mileage, is completely paid off and handles great. It's blue with a massive rust spot and the rear passenger side just above the gas tank, but I don't care. Gives the car character, you know? Secondly, this story takes place in Michigan, where as anyone who lives in here or has driven through here knows, the roads here suck. Potholes, uneven streets, and jagged pavement on every stretch of road you'll ever drive down. Getting a flat tire at least once in your life while living here is both a guarantee and a rite of passage. The flat tire detail is relevant. Here's our cast and crew. Entitled Parent or Psycho, Entitled Brat/Jerk, DO, dealership owner, and me. I was driving through the town after my shift at work and had to take a really crappy street because that's all I have available to me. I do my best to avoid potholes, but I ended up striking a few anyway, and lo and behold, my rear driver's side takes a hit. I can feel that something's wrong with the tire, so I pull off the road to the nearest open drive I could find. Turns out I picked a used car lot and had plenty of room to inspect the damage. While I step out of the car to look at the tire, another car pulls into the lot behind me and proceeds to park on the other side. I noticed that the tire was low, but not flat, because fortunately, that porthole only loosened the seal on the stem valve, and I could fix it with a can of Fix-A-Flat that I kept in my trunk. While I'm fussing with my tire, the dealership owner comes out to greet me, most likely assuming that I'm there to either trade in my car or shop around. When he sees my tires low, he insists that I slowly pull my car further away from the side of the road and up toward the front of the dealership building out of safety concerns. I agree to move my car where instructed. Turns out I was being watched by a dreaded entitled parent and her demonic spawn. Not long after I get my car moved up, the dealership owner is lending me a hand and helping me with my tire, making sure the valve was secured and that the pressure was stable. I thanked him for his help and proceeded to sit back down in my car. As I put the key in the ignition, I hear something bang against my window and look up to see a woman, the stereotypical Karen, trying to get my attention. I roll down my window to see what she wants. Ah, my bad. "Yeah, what's up?" "Are you through yet?" "Am I what?" "Through! Are you through? Because my daughter's been waiting long enough." I look past her and see her 16-year-old daughter dressed in a dark miniskirt, white tank top that showed everything by the way, and 4-inch heels. This is February by the way. She was also wearing so much cheap makeup, you'd think she was auditioning for a role as the Joker. Waiting for what? Don't act cute.
She needs her turn. You've taken up enough of our time.
What are you talking about?
Are you stupid? Your test drive is over. Now it's my brat's turn.
The entitled brat is standing behind the entitled parent with her arms crossed over her chest and giving me a smug.
Wow, are all you commoners so stupid?
Type a grin on her arrogant face. Oh, I figured out quick and I tried to defuse the situation. I wasn't on a test drive.
I said get out! This is my car! No, it's not. I just saw you pull back into the lot. We were behind you the whole time, so don't try to lie to me. You didn't even go inside the building to sign the papers, so I know you're lying to me. You didn't buy this car. You're just being a stubborn little jerk.
No, this is my car. I have the register.
What the fudge is wrong with you? Get out now!
No, this is my car.
No, it's not. My daughter wants it and I'm gonna buy it for her right now.
She tries to pull open my door, but thankfully I locked it when I got inside.
Give me the key!
Before I had the chance to say anything else, she reached through my window and made a grab for the key in the ignition. The key that was on a keyring with my apartment key and 4 other keychains, so clearly not the dealership's key. When she tried to pull it out, I grabbed her arm and pushed her back.
Get away from me! You little jerk, you just assaulted me!
I quickly roll up my window and I'm ready to turn over the engine and drive off when I see the dealership owner returning.
Ma'am, what's going on? This little tramp just assaulted me. Call the police. She attacked me because I told her to let my daughter have a test drive, and now she's trying to steal the car.
The dealership owner looks at me, looks at my worn out, dirty car with the faded bumper sticker on the trunk, and gives the woman a classic, "Are you serious right now?" stare. Ma'am, this car isn't for sale. This is her car.
No, it's not. Until she signs the paper, it's not hers, and my daughter wants to drive it. She just got her license, and I promised her I'd get her a blue car, and this is the only blue car in the lot.
It was not. There was another blue car parked behind hers, and yes, her 16-year-old daughter, who just got her license, was gonna test drive a car in heels. Double what the hell.
Ma'am, the car isn't mine to sell. It already belongs to her. No, it doesn't. I saw her drive the car into the lot, and I saw you telling her to pull up the building. Stop trying to lie to me. She had a low tire, she pulled off. Why won't you let my daughter have her turn? She deserves her turn. Is it because my daughter isn't all tramped up like this tramp?
Note what the daughter was wearing, and I'm wearing blue jeans, tennis shoes, a baggy shirt with Kirby from Nintendo on it, and a green jacket over the top. The only skin visible is on my hands, neck, and face. Ma'am, stop, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
No! My daughter needs this car, and I promised her, and all you're doing is wasting my time. I'm asking you nicely to leave before I call the cops. You do that and I'm telling the cops that this jerk assaulted me, pushed my daughter, and that you're selling stolen cars. Now give my daughter this car right now, or else.
She actually said "or else" like a dang cartoon villain.
Ma'am, leave. This is ridiculous.
She pulled her phone from her purse and proceeded to call the cops herself.
You're gonna regret being so disrespectful to me. All you had to do was sell this car, but no, you decided this tramp was better than my daughter. My daughter deserves this car.
I know I'm not in the wrong, but I'm still nervous. I look at the dealership owner through the windshield, and he gives me a look that says everything will be fine. Watch this. About 5 minutes later, a patrol car pulls up, and the officer approaches the dealership owner. Before he even has a chance to ask any questions, the entitled parent starts shrieking at him at full volume.
I want that jerk arrested, she assaulted me! And my daughter, and she's trying to steal my daughter's car!
The cop is unfazed and just looks at me, then over to the dealership owner without blinking. Hey, dealership owner, is this true?
Not a word of it.
And if you want, you can check a lot of security cameras. Cop's first name? The entitled parent is fuming, and the entitled brat is just rolling her eyes like we were boring her or some crap.
Why don't you believe me? You're not seriously gonna take her word over mine. Just look at her. Ma'am, I'm gonna need to get both sides of the story. Now you said she tried to steal. Yes, that's my daughter's car. Alright, fine, that's easy enough to prove.
The cop walked over to the passenger side of the door, on the opposite side from where the entitled parent was still seething, and motioned for me to open the door. I did, and he of course asked for my ID, my registration, and my proof of insurance. It didn't take long for the cop to notice my name on the license and the name on the registration, which is also dated from almost 2 years ago. are a match. He just nods, hands me back my stuff and closes the door. Ma'am, that is her car.
Not possible! She just got here! She couldn't have signed the papers! Why are you all against my daughter? She needs a car!
Ma'am, you do realize it's a crime to file a false police report. The car isn't stolen, and I seriously doubt she assaulted you. I'm going to look at the cameras, and if I find you're lying to me, the entitled parent grabbed the entitled brat's arm and pulled her along.
Fudge this place! All these cars are pieces of crap anyway. My daughter deserves better than anything that tramp would ever drive.
The cop sticks around until the entitled parent leaves and apologizes to me for the disturbance and wishes me a good day. Before he left, he said goodbye to the dealership owner, again calling him by his first name, and was on the way. Don't worry about her. I don't think she'll be back. And if she does show up again, my brother, the cop, will be back too. After slipping me a business card, joking that if I ever needed another car in the future, he'd ensure that no crazy people were hiding in the trunk. I thanked the man for coming to my rescue, drove off, and I've been trying to figure out why my old car was so important to the entitled parent ever since. Seriously, it's not that great of a car. Old, losing its pep and needing some TLC, but I still love my blue jerk. Hey guys, I read Reddit here. For more juicy content just like that, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.